Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Franklin Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. The meeting has been properly posted. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Yank?
Here.
Mrs. Witkowski?
Here.
Mr. Sprague?
Here.
Mrs. Sapersky?
Here.
Mrs. Larson?
Here.
Dr. Khan?
Here.
And I'm here.
Thank you. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Witkowski, seconded by Dr. Khan. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I don't see any notes or any signups for community comment. Does anybody wish to comment? All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Sapersky, seconded by Mrs. Yank. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. School board calendar, there's a board policy committee meeting Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at the ECC at 2. And the next two Board of Education meetings are Wednesday, November 12th and Wednesday, December 3rd, both at 6 p.m. in the ECC. District Administrator update, Dr. Bennon, please.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So we have a couple updates related to the referendum work, specifically the construction at Franklin High School. So exciting, if you've been up there last week, they put the fences in place. C.D. Smith Construction Company did, or with their partners. And this week they started demolition. When I stopped by Monday, one panel of walling of the existing pool is down. I'd imagine it's 2 by today, but I didn't get a chance to get up there today. So they'll continue to demo. That's probably going to take approximately 3 weeks. As they piece through that aspect, we were able to work with our owner's rep, Cadence Consulting, to put cameras on the outside and inside. So it'll be kind of neat to see the time lapse when we're able to pull those videos out. Approximately the week of November 3rd, the earthwork will start. So we're working through the permits with the city right now on that. So that means mass excavation and foundation excavation to prepare the site for the foundations. So that'll probably wrap up around mid-December. Always a little weather dependent when we get to this time of year. So in the next 6 weeks, we should see quite a bit of work on that north side of the campus. The fences are up, as I stated, in the building bulletin for the high school yesterday included messaging about where the fencing is and access, mostly no access other than pre-approved personnel that might go through as students, like the football team running out, maybe a PE class, getting out of the building. So that's exciting work. Communications coming up following that. Tomorrow we have a Franklin Find, that's our staff newsletter. We'll give all the construction updates there now that that work is moving forward. Monday, we're going to do a special edition district newsletter. So it will be a lot of the updates I just gave about where we're going to be over the next couple months, reminding of safety measures and those fences and making sure we're adhering to it, especially with the excitement of moving into postseason with football. We have a few neighbors or middle school students, high school students that may come onto the property from the east side and walk across like those practice fields. So now you won't be able to access because of the fencing. So reminding our staff and our community members of that. November 10th at 10 a.m. will be the groundbreaking. So you have an invite at your seat. We'll also be posting that on social media, including it in that special edition district newsletter. That'll take place outside Sullivan Stadium so that you kind of have the existing pool and demo in the background. So working with getting some students available, staff, a variety of people, board members. Hopefully we're all able to make it to that groundbreaking. And then on November 12th, the Wednesday of that week, we'll do our 5th update to the board on Franklin Forward and where things are at. So exciting efforts moving forward there. The Community Education and Recreation Center, if you haven't driven by it, every day there's something new to look at and see even from the outside. But inside, just walking through last Thursday, I think was the last time I toured. We have walls up, all the drywall, they're painting in certain spaces. Rooms are all cut into place, seeing the offices in there. December 4th will be the ribbon cutting for the rec center. So 10 a.m. December 4th is the ribbon cutting for that. We'll do a separate ribbon cutting for the wellness center in January with staff. We're looking at potentially doing that January 19th when we have our staff professional development day. and looking at getting all staff over there too to kind of see it and understand where it is, how to get there, take away that first time, like, where do I go, what do I do, kind of easing into it. So more to come on the clinic aspect of a ribbon cutting, but they will have more of a soft opening earlier in January too, so that'll be after they're open a couple weeks. Other exciting news, our marching band was in their state competition this past Saturday, placed third, was very exciting. Had a highest ever state score. They also were first ever state champions in the best visual presentation, so exciting news for them. Also want to thank our Franklin Fire Department partners. They've been traveling around to all of our elementary schools. They have their little classroom on a trailer where they can experience fire safety and smoke it out and understand how to crawl out, how to access windows and doorways. So we're appreciative of that partnership and getting around to all the schools, all our students have that experience. Also a shout out to the Noon Lions Club of Franklin. Every year they do a special offering to classrooms for grants for $100 for classroom supplies. So teachers can submit, what are we looking for? And the Noon Lions dedicate funds to across the 5 elementaries. They choose to support elementary. They purchase the goods and then they come out and present to the teachers. So that's been going on through the end of last week and this week. So thank you to them for continuing to support our educators. And then finally coming up, because our next meeting's not till November 12th, November 13th and 16th, or November 13th through 16th, is the Sabre Center Performing Arts Center. Will be hosting the Sabre Theater with the show Front. So that's coming up mid-November at the high school. Any questions, let me know.
Thank you. School board liaison reports. Mary, please.
I met with Mr. Hine at Ben Franklin, and for better or worse, because it was my third time meeting with a principal, I had a lot more questions than the first time when I was like, what do I ask, you know? So he was kind enough to give me a whole hour of his time, and we toured, and they have new floors, and it was very nice. So we talked about student engagement goal, the teacher engagement goals, the family engagement. Sounds like they really overcame a little bit of a glitch with their PTO in great fashion. A lot of parents stepped up. He says we have great parent partnerships. The teacher engagement with the goal to increase proficiency to above the 60th percentile on the Ames web for K through 4. I don't know if anybody wants me to talk about the Ames web, but I Googled it, so I can tell you. Probably a hard no, but and then the MAP scores for the 5th graders, again, looking to grow the bottom quartile by 10%. Teacher engagement, looking to increase the score to the 4.2, increase staff development, capitalizing on some forward momentum that he feels they have. And with parents, they have a weekly classroom update, some tips and tricks, and shared expectations. He said they have a high level of parent engagement, and he's just a great principal in my estimation, and really has a lot of things that he's working on and going to be very successful with. I asked him what he was most proud of, and he just said the Ben Way, which is the little slogan that they have, which is believe in yourself, encourage others, and never stop learning. And that's really the culture that they're trying to build, which is just incredible. So that was that. I mean, there's a lot more, but.
Thanks, Mary. Angie, please.
I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Daniels about his work, and as always, it was an experience in enthusiasm and professionalism and attention to a level of detail that continues to astonish me. He focused this time on the work that he and Ms. Zielinski are doing around figuring out what exactly the significance of staff's perception of safety on their engagement scores means, and what can be done by them, and what other potential areas they can uncover. So I won't steal a thunder, but they're doing a lot of work, and it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Oh, go ahead, Linda.
I did meet
Please.
with Teaching and Learning, which report will be coming, is on the agenda. So.
Thanks.
I had the SWSA meeting last week. I sent you guys the email for the slides if you're interested in the details there.
the biggest news there is that they have changed the fiscal agent. I don't know if you guys are aware, but, there's a cost to SWSA, and traditionally, the School District of South Milwaukee has been the fiscal agent managing that, and they've decided now to move that to CISA one. So there was just a changeover that way, so you'll see that when, when it comes up to us again for re-upping or whatever. And then just a lot of encouragement there with advocating with state and federal elected officials, telling our story, getting, support for education there. So that was just some talking points there. And then Mary and I attended the Education Foundation meeting last week. We are the liaisons there. Just successful consignment sale, looking ahead to the a new event coming, so stay tuned, 12 Days of Giving in December. Consignment sale was good. I think we already talked about Color Run, and then looking ahead to the future with pickleball and the spring consignment and granting some teacher grants. So very productive Education Foundation meeting as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Does anybody have any school and community engagement reports? Congratulations to Forte Theater on the
That's what I was just gonna say.
South Pacific Run.
That was great, with a lot of good community engagement.
It's really fun to go to an event like that and hear people who have never been in the Sabre Center before talk about what an asset it is for Franklin. So it was
They
really
get a little talk from me about how wonderful it is.
so.
Anyone else?
We've all, I think, attended a number of football games. It's been very exciting to see our team do so well. Playoffs start this week.
And marching band.
Marching band too. We already heard about that. Lots of things happening.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, reports, presentations, and other board business. Spring 2025 early college credit and start college now request approvals. Mr. Volo, Ms. Pound, Ms. Jewell.
So shared with you should be the list of requests again, as well as the historical, graphs and number taken. As always, we have far more requested than are possibly enrolled in. I think this year I had a student hit over 60, and they're all unique, and they all were not replicating things that we have at the high school. So that's the criteria we look at, again, for early college credit, start college now. Is it something that we offer in our own house? So when we talk about course proposals, obviously, at least, some of those are things that we are going to offer in-house in terms of additional math. But again, our kids like our courses. Sometimes they have interests and curiosities beyond what we have, beyond what's available, even in things like advanced placement. So these are the requests that I would ask that we consider and approve. If there's any questions, happy to answer those.
I move that we approve the early college credit and start college now requests as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Mrs. Sapersky. Any further discussion?
Is this all state funded, or is some of this school district funded?
It is probably mostly school district funded. There is some funding for ECCP, but it is very low in comparison to what is actually provided. So it is a some certain allocation from the state. Remember, some certain says there's a block of money, and regardless of how many people apply for it, the block doesn't change. So historically, over the life of this program in the state of Wisconsin, applications have increased dramatically. So the amount per reimbursement is significantly lower than when it started. So it is just part of the cost that we build into the budget every year is what we estimate, or what we are estimating for students to attend.
Can you give me a ballpark number of how much that is?
Off the top of my head, I do not have that number available.
And I would add that the cost per credit at the colleges is significantly lower through the early college credit program than it would be for a student to take it as an undergrad. So then it's not something that we bear the costs of. So the colleges just, are following some expectations the state has, whether they're private or public, to provide a certain rate per credit that is significantly less. So we're paying obviously a chunk of that. We get some reimbursement, minimal reimbursement, but for early college credit. But again, it is significantly reduced per credit cost. So it's not what you would pay for undergrad going to
State
UW.
caps the tuition, but still the cost comes throughout.
which is something that we kind of talked about yesterday when we met in terms of the tuition costs and when we foreshadow in a minute talking about Calculus 3 and that being a dual enrollment course, right? Which we've talked about before in terms of our ed pathway with dual enrollment being high school and university. So similar to what we talked about yesterday.
So I just looked up the values. So we budget $108,000 between the early college credit and the Start College Now program.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Further discussion? All right, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will move on to new courses. Ms. Pound, please continue.
So we have two things to talk about today in terms of new courses. We have new courses in general, and we have wonderful audience members who will contribute to that today. And then we also have social studies pathway work. So I'm going to start with the social studies pathway work because that is work that started under Mr. Blessington several years ago, that now Ms. Jewell has taken the lead with the social studies team, and the redesigning of our current pathways and the allowance for inquiry-based model into our social studies coursework. So I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Jewell.
Thank you. Yeah, so this process, the curriculum review for social studies actually began in 2019. So we're 6 years in the making of where we are now. And so it started as a K-12 committee, then it worked its way into like leveled and phased work. Starting with K-5, then moving to middle school, and then to high school. So the proposal that you got from us is just showing you the changes for the 9-12 portion. So really wrapping that high school into it. So I would just highlight in the report, there was the portion that had the proposal for new courses. So we're looking to add 5 new previously did not exist courses, as well as removing courses that no longer fit in our pathway for a variety of reasons, whether a new course is replacing it, or if it was a course that has not run for a significant amount of time. There's a variety of reasons for that, or some of the honors as we continue to level up our courses and remove the honors track. And then you can also see in that chart that there are a significant number of existing courses that will remain that are both available to all students, as well as then kind of that AP or advanced track for students who want to dig in deeper to social studies as well. And all of those courses, even the existing courses, have shifted to the inquiry model according to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. That is the best model for teaching social studies. So all of the courses, even existing, have shifted to that model, but those courses don't have any other significant change in terms of like the content or skills that students are learning. So wanted you to be aware of that as well. So we would be looking then to ultimately propose this new map that you saw in the report that shows you how students will progress through social studies in the high school 9-12.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? I don't think that we have that report.
I
Am I
was
the only
gonna say,
person who's feeling that way?
English.
We
Oh.
got a detailed report about the rest of your report,
We didn't get it.
but I don't think I've actually seen the history report.
The social studies one.
Interesting, okay. It's complete and it's not linked. I just noticed that also, so my apologies. I'm not sure why that happened, but we can get that too.
Did you get a copy in your meeting, probably?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I
I
was confused
think
too,
we saw
reading that.
something in our
I
meeting
was
last
afraid
week,
to say
Mike. but-
something because I saw you had it and I thought it was just me.
And we got a
Yeah.
kind of a glimpse at it a week ago, but
Mm-hmm.
in terms of actually looking at it right now, I don't have it in front of me. Is it something that you guys could project real quick or not, maybe?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can project it.
Yeah, and then I can obviously talk through it in a little bit more detail
That
for
would make,
you.
then it would make sense. Then you could
I mean,
visually see the
I have a
pathways.
concept of it, I understand
Sure.
it, I'm all on board here, but
Thank you for saying
It's
something.
perfect timing, 'cause it's information, so we can Yeah, send it's it out. and you can information review only. it before
Right.
the next meeting.
Mhm.
Yep, also, so we can project it, but obviously you're probably gonna wanna take more time outside the meeting to look at it. We can bring more questions forward in a couple weeks.
Would you like to start with that graphic, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Let's
Probably
just
the
scroll
best.
down to
Right
the,
there.
right there.
love a graphic.
Go up just a smidge. Yep. Yeah, so you can see there, those are the 5 courses I said that we're gonna propose, would be the Pre-AP World History, AP World History Modern, Introduction to Law, Early Empires, and then Myths, Movies, and Museums. You can see the removal of 6 courses there, from the course guide, again, for those variety of reasons I mentioned, and then you can see the existing courses. That's just to help you kind of understand all of the available courses for the Social Studies Department 912.
And then if you scroll down, Dr. Mo, there's the proposed pathway.
Yeah, so here you can see on the left side, that's the required courses. So our freshmen would all take pre-AP World History and Geography. Then progressing into their sophomore year, they would have the option of US History or AP US History. From there, they choose which form of American government they want, American government or AP government. And then on the right-hand side are all of the elective options that are available to students. Yeah.
And the new courses are, really, I mean, I'm just looking at the other chart just so you can kind of see.
Sure, so the pre-AP World History and Geography, that would be that standard freshman level course. So we would be looking to adopt the pre-AP framework, which we already have for our science and ELA. At the high school, for those required introductory, like 9, 10 level courses, the AP World History Modern, that would be an elective course. Well, the rest of them are all electives. So the AP World History Modern down would be elective course offerings. So not required, but additional
So you
options for
can see
students.
how the mix of electives changes with the,
Mhm.
if you go to the next chart, you can see the next page will show you a little bit.
I think she wants the.
Oh,
She would
the
like to go
chart
to the
diagram.
chart, down one, down,
chart again.
Dr. Mo, please, thank you.
So you can see the mix where the new ones fit in on the elective course side.
Mhm.
Early Empires is new, Myths, Movies, and Museums. And Introduction to Law, right? 3?
Yes, correct.
I appreciate the leveling up of the pre-AP World History and Geography.
You want me
in-
to, you want me to print real quick?
Going
Would that
on
be
with
helpful?
the, going on.
No,
going-
we'll get it.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Before our
question?
next meeting.
Yeah, let me finish my thought, please. Going ahead with that, based on the science and effectiveness of that, and English as well. So that's appreciated. Please, Maksud.
So, the sophomore, they are selecting US history or AP US history. For AP, they get a college credit. So what's the difference?
So AP courses do not translate directly to college credit. Depending on the college, there's the opportunity for for retro credits typically. And again, it depends on the university. Some
Depends on how it fits in within the
Yeah.
university course catalog.
correct. So it's not guaranteed college credit.
Please, Angie.
So the two things that, I'm just wondering if the teachers who currently teach the cohort of sort of world history, honors world history, and then US history, honors world history versus AP US history can comment on where you visualize those kids that currently take the honors courses landing, and then sort of what your mix is in terms of how many kids, especially that sophomore year, are selecting the honors version versus the AP version.
I can speak to that.
What
I teach
of
honors
those
US
children?
history. I'm Anna Rember. I teach at the high school. I teach honors US history and AP US history, so I could speak to that pretty clearly. We've seen a decline in honors US history pretty steadily over the last, I've been teaching honors for 7 years and I've been teaching AP for 5. This year, for example, I have 14 in honors and I run one section. So we've seen kind of a decline of that, whereas I've seen a little, like a steady increase to AP. So we've seen a lot of kids transitioning already out of that honors and into AP if they're wanting that challenge, and then obviously taking US history if they're not. Sam teaches at the world level, so he could speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, I mean, so for honors world history, I can say with the pre-AP world history, one of the things I really like about that curriculum is that it's actually bringing some of the stuff that I've been doing in honors to all our kids. So kind of to your point about it leveling up, I think it does a really good job of that because a lot of our kids are now going to get exposure to some of that college level writing that is such an intense part of that honors course. So I think that's a good part of it. I also think too, with self-selection, we definitely have students who they select honors and then it's not what they expected and it's a challenge. So I think having everyone in that same group is going to help from that standpoint. And in terms of kids who are looking for more of a challenge, we have materials I've been using that we can use as extension. And we offer the AP Human Geography course to freshmen as well. So if they are looking for that kind of leveled up, even beyond what that class I think is already going to provide, I think that's going to be part of it, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to new courses. So new course proposals, we ask staff in, when is it? Now I'm mixing up. Was it late winter? Potential new courses to be offered to our students. This usually is driven by interest or area of need. And so you're going to see a wide variety of new course proposals in front of you that are across several content areas. Mrs. Jewell has been working directly with all of the teachers that are listed within, that teach these, have proposed these potential courses. And she will kind of give you a hyper overview, and then you can ask some individual questions, and we have some of those members in the audience also.
Thank you. So with the new courses, our goal is always to make sure that our course guide reflects student interest, reflects area districts, continues to build opportunity for our students to engage at various levels with our courses. And so that's really what we ask teachers to do, is to come to us if they have a proposal or they're hearing students kind of chattering about something that they're wanting that they're not getting. And then we go from there in terms of what we can support. One thing just to mention with all of the courses that you're going to see today, one of the stipulations was that it could not have a fiscal impact to staffing. So we know we're not at a position right now to be increasing our staffing in order to accommodate new courses. So we've had to, have some conversations around what could it look like if we introduce these courses to the catalog. Obviously, it's student choice, so we don't exactly know what will run or won't run, but how might we get creative with courses if we need to stack a course, or if we need to adjust, how a teacher delivers something to make sure that these courses can happen within what we currently have for staffing has been really important. You will see in the report that there are a couple courses that do have a potential for some fiscal impact in terms of teacher professional development or startup costs, like initial supplies or materials that would be required for those courses. But we're trying to keep those obviously to a minimum, just in the interest of remaining fiscally responsible. So in the report, you can see the various departments that have proposed courses, what the courses are, and then if there is any fiscal impact.
One question that was addressed to me via Mrs. Wachowski via email was again about that FTE, a reminder that enrollment will drive whether or not these courses do happen. So the question was around music and whether or not do we have the FTEs to cover modern band. Again, this is about enrollment, and then what our current state looks like 6 through 12. So Mr. Dunmeyer is here, who has proposed modern band, and will certainly answer any questions that you have around that. But in general, depending upon enrollment, and as Ms. Jewell had said, we might need to take a look at, for example, what enrollment is in 7th grade in order to make sure that Mr. Dunmeyer is available for a potential high school course, because that is what modern band is a high school course. So just wanted to address that question directly. Any questions about the new course proposals? And again, we have some audience members here too.
I'm just wondering how many classes in our catalog don't run because of enrollment every year. It's a pretty big catalog.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's not many. One was AP European History, which will hopefully in a couple weeks remove from the catalog. There's a very small number that don't tend to run because the things that exist there, kids want to take. For example, AP Art History hasn't been taken oftentimes or have enrollment to run. There's a Adobe Illustrator class, and then AP European History. Those are the sort of three that come to mind immediately that consistently have not run. But otherwise, most things do.
And we have to remember, it could be one semester that it runs. It doesn't mean it's a year-long course. It could be that fall or spring semester. It just really depends on the course and the outcomes of those courses.
And I would also add, there are some courses in our catalog that we intentionally run like alternating years for that reason too, just to ensure that we can keep that course alive by having kids who are interested kind of hold off until a specific year, so we get more students enrolling in those courses just on alternating years. So that's another way that we continue to be able to provide those courses, but hopefully can funnel it so that it runs.
And Mrs. Jewell was part of that work, for Family Consumer Science several years ago, and that's a department that thrives in terms of those alternating year courses. So at first, that could be a little bit, scary for some of the staff and students. We want to run everything every year. It just doesn't work. So that surety of every other year we're running this, then this, then this, has actually had some great success and helped some programs continue to grow.
Which would also be like a university. Like if we go and think back to our university experiences, we couldn't always take the courses when we wanted to take the courses. And that's why our school counselors help our students map out their pathways.
Angie, please.
I have a question, and it sort of relates to the email I sent you about the math department sequencing. And obviously Calculus 3 is sort of the end of the road in the math department. I'm just curious when we're going to be, if or when we're going to be seeing sort of an updated overview of the math sequencing. Because I know there was we had the conversation about pre-AP calculus. I believe that was last year, and just where we're at in the
So
cycle.
next year begins our math exploration.
Okay. Thank you.
So we'll wait till
could've
next
asked that
year.
more
Thank you.
Can I tag on to that, just
Yeah, go
regarding math, the calculus? Am I understanding correctly that your calculus 3 would be similar to our current Spanish 5? It perhaps would be like a
It's a dual enrollment
dual
course.
enrollment, like through Oshkosh or something like that. So
Correct.
Similarly
Yes.
that way.
Very
Okay.
similar, yes.
That was just
Or
the
like,
concept I had in my-
Parkside with
Mhm.
last year when we
With
talked
the
about education.
Okay, thank you.
It looked petrifying.
I have somebody in my house who's pretty excited about it.
Well, and can you
Yes.
also
Sorry, go ahead, Linda.
they can, just early in college roll with that class. So why here when they have that option?
As we explained yesterday, like that's an access piece for all students. So by having a dual enrollment course, we can provide that access for our Franklin students right here in-house. We have qualified individuals who we explained have to go through that process, that application process within the university. So why not capitalize on the professionalism that we have right here in-house with our highly qualified teachers and provide access for all Franklin students?
Yeah, can I tag on to that? It makes it a lot easier for a student to take the class if they can take it at Franklin. Like, I probably would not allow my kid to leave school unless I really needed to drive to Marquette to take a class. But if he can take it at Franklin High School, like, that is an access point for me as a parent. Just, speaking generally, and there are plenty of kids who don't have the ability to go someplace else to take that class. And if there are enough students in the district who would meet that need, and we have the staff, the very qualified staff to do it, I think it's a great offering for our students.
In addition to college credit. So they're not only graduating Franklin with their high school credit, but then they're already entering college. To use the word level up, because we use that word, we're leveling up as they enter into their post-secondary experiences.
Yeah, again, those opportunities that they already have, they go, when you go to register as a freshman, you actually very often end up registering more as a sophomore because you've had all those opportunities in high school.
And just to piggyback off what's been shared, every year I come to you with the Start College Now Early College Credit, and our colleges do, I think, a great job, trying to grow those programs and have students have success. And I've yet to run into a college math major dropout, so I didn't, persist. I did do multivariate calculus, so I did Calc 3, but not too many courses after that. And the professors never match what our teachers do each and every day. So in terms of seat time, in terms of like support for students, like you're taking a college class with a high school teacher every day at high school, and where you can see your teacher. That's just not the college experience. And so all those barriers to, do I go to office hours? How do I get the help? How do I get the support? Do I go to the tutoring lab at college? Like, we'll have the people right in-house. So it really is a great opportunity to help kids do that. And yes, our students have been successful in early college credit or start college now when they take, these math classes. And there's some on the list that you saw today, differential equations, linear algebra, and all these things, even pass Calc 3. Great. But the more we can have our staff do that in-house, it also reduces that $108,000 that Mr. Cromie referenced before as well, because it's another course they take with our staff. So if our staffing's not going up, there's a minimal investment for us. If we have the credentialed staff, it just reduces that, chance you have. And even beyond AP, it's not one test that gives you credit. It's a semester or a year's worth of work.
Mary had a question.
So just two quick things. So love the addition of the music opportunity. Hopefully it will grow our program and be appealing to kids who might not otherwise. But I know our music teachers are just so stretched. They're there morning, noon, night, into the late hours, traveling to Madison, to Whitewater, what have you. But we're not gonna have any additional staff for this class, so where does the reduction come in? And it's probably in here,
Well, there's no reduction right now, okay? And again, this is based off an enrollment. And enrollment drives, right, you staffing. And, in our current structure right now, and Mr. Dunmeyer can speak more about the classes, I don't want to take away from that because it is his proposed course. But we would take a look, right? They co-teach courses right now. What does that look like? What are the numbers within those co-taught courses? How does that impact Mr. Dunmeyer's schedule? And build from there. It's just like last year when we were talking about the pre-AP theater course and offering AP theater and how do you forecast what that looks like? We couldn't forecast that at the time until we knew what the enrollment was. And now we have a section of theater running, which is amazing, right? So these things build over time, and we are at that entry point state. I don't know, Mr. Dunmeyer, if you want to say anything else about Modern Band? Or no? Or no?
The question was about FTE, right?
Well, in general, your vision for the course.
So we have a bunch of kids right now who play guitar and piano and drums, and they're in band because that's where those instruments exist, but it's sort of tangential, not the math thing, to what we do as a band. And they're oh, I have to play bells. And then they're oh, I'm taking guitar lessons when I see them in high school after they've quit band. And I see them in high school, and they're oh, I'm still taking guitar lessons and doing all these things. And this is a class for them, and to get more kids involved in our music program, because they want to do it, they just don't have a place.
Angie, please.
Quick question. I believe this is the third year in a row Mr. Hust has proposed new courses. Will we see you back next year?
That was my question too.
Actually, yes, we will.
That was next on my list to ask.
Yes, we will, which
All right.
that pathway is actually, is
Computer
that
science.
attachment? That's an
Yeah.
attachment on there. You'll see a cybersecurity course coming next year.
Anybody else have questions?
Angie took mine.
Sorry. All right, thank you very much, and thank you, everybody, all the teachers who came in support. We really appreciate it. It shows your dedication, so we really appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you guys have more questions, obviously, for Amanda or I, once you have a chance to dig into the social studies report, let us know.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
25-26 staffing update. Ms. Lancour, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So this is an annual report that is brought for the board just to keep you on pace with our turnover and retention of our staff. So I'm not obviously going to read the whole thing, just to hit a couple of highlights of the report. Obviously, you've had a chance to review it. But for the first time in a couple of years, I'd say that our turnover is under 10%, which is really exciting to see. And we continue kind of have that downward trend. It talks a little bit more about the leaves and moves, which we had addressed in that report from last, or I think 2023 technically, which is something that we're just kind of keeping an eye on, like what's within our control and what's, not necessarily within our control when it comes to keeping staff in Franklin. Obviously, I would love to talk the person moving to Minnesota out of it, but they probably have a really great reason for doing that for themselves and their family. We added some new information just to give you a little bit better visual of like total resignations over the years, so you can see that. The chart that kind of shows the different reasons that were identified by our staff for the reason for why they're choosing to leave. And then we also get into the support staff section, which is something that we are still really working to address. We're having a lot of conversations with our support staff members. They are much more involved in Better Place to Work since last year and continuing to this year, which has been great to have their voices added and heard. And then it just kind of gets into those current initiatives. Obviously, we have our employee engagement survey. The Better Place to Work Task Force is already up and running. We've met once, and we actually meet tomorrow evening, which is great. Rounding conversations within our buildings are still occurring on a yearly basis, as well as those building-based employee engagement teams that we've kind of talked about, the family, the student, and the employee. And one thing that I did not add on here, which is completely missed off, is that obviously our health clinic that is opening is going to be a huge tool for retention of all of our staff because they are eligible to attend. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Yeah,
Linda,
Linda.
please.
Yes, I noticed we had some staff reductions in the budget related to enrollment. How are those accounted for in your numbers?
That's a completely different report related to this. We wouldn't, like those, these are based off of voluntary resignations of the district. So that wouldn't be included in this report. The report for the budget reductions is all related to FTE, or student count. So they're kind of two separate reports.
Okay. And I know that our turnover rate in the support staff is obviously much different than teachers. What do you expect that to be normally? What are your goals in that area since they are normally high?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the ideal state would to see those continually make a progression going down, right? That's obviously what we're working towards. We are happy to see that our educational assistants and office staff has decreased significantly. I think we've done a lot of work around those teams, and I think that is a result of having better conversations, having better training with those staff. One of the things that we heard is that sometimes they're put in the roles, they might not even have ever worked in education before. So that's on us, like that's our job to teach them and to give them the tools that they need to feel like they're being successful with students and supporting. So kind of utilizing some of those same things within our food services. I think the challenge there, and it's interesting because that was a question when I literally interviewed for this position in the district, was how are you going to support our food services department? I think that role continues to be a challenge based on the hours that those individuals work. They don't really start at a normal time or end at a normal time. They're kind of smack dab in the middle of the day based on the nature of their work. So we've been working to figure out how can we better advertise those opportunities so people know, kind of really using the flexibility of the position to an advantage. Like if you have school-age children, this might actually be a great fit for you because you can be at home when they are leaving for the day and you can be back at home by the time they're coming off of the bus. So how we're advertising that role specifically. And then Andy Daniels has done, like, kudos to him. He's done a really great job with his department in terms of the custodial staff. I think that one ticked up a little bit because we had a lot more retirements this year for the custodial staff. So they've had to replace more people than they probably normally would that had some really great tenure with us. But, really digging into what are they looking for from a training perspective? How does he help support how they want to increase and kind of move on and move up in their career, and what do they want to learn? And I know he's doing some really great things with their performance reviews. Obviously, sometimes have a negative connotation, but he's really using it as a great tool for development. So I think each of those groups is kind of unique and individual in what they really need. And I think it's on us to focus on those aspects to make sure that we're continuing to work to make those numbers decrease.
And you don't have any goal other than decrease? Less is better.
I would say decrease for now. I mean, I think we would need a little bit more of a normalization. I think we will always have turnover in our support staff in particular. It's not uncommon for us to receive a lot of notices that somebody just isn't returning for the next school year because maybe they've received a different opportunity, or they were working for us when they were going through school and now they are able to move on to become a full-time teacher. So I think the dynamics of those roles are different. So as of now, my goal is to just continue to decrease, but I can hopefully, with a little bit more information, once I feel like we've really dug into it, give you an exact percentage. I don't want to say 15% and then show up next year and it's not 15%, so.
I think you hit well though, Laura, that the educational aid assistant didn't happen by chance, but by design. So there's been a lot of training on-site in the schools. Even when you check in with your principals, you can talk to them about that, about just ensuring they know what to be doing with students or supporting staff in the classroom, whatever their exact role might be. Before, it wasn't quite as deliberate about the amount of check-ins throughout the year. So that's where we've seen that 19% decrease in turnover over 2 years. And to kind of echo what Laura said with custodial, Andy Daniels works to meet with his head custodians in every building on a regular basis. So regular being bi-monthly, and really digging into engagement and what training they need, but also like putting them in a leadership role with the other custodial staff or cleaning crew that's in their building. So I do think if Laura were breaking down those numbers by retirement and those staying, we don't see, like we have a lot of staff in the custodial realm that have been here for a lot of years and continue. And so we've had more retirements, and that was kind of the story of last year, this year, and probably the next couple years that we're gonna see in custodial, but the staff that we're hiring, we're seeing less turnover in that area. And so that's part of that piece too, and I think Andy is the deliberate meeting with that. That's definitely been something that's changed and increased over the last couple years that I think is impacting those that are staying in the roles.
The other unique thing about our custodial staff is that we run 2 shifts in the district, so we have first shift and second shift. And some people, second shift at some point doesn't work for them anymore, so they seek first shift opportunities that we might not necessarily have available. So we tend to see a lot more turnover in our second shift than our first shift.
And is there a factor in educational assistance with student needs? Does that also influence that as far as how many you need? And
Yep.
I don't know how much that fluctuates from.
We evaluate it every year, so like for the special education EAs, Leo takes a look at the numbers every year in terms of what student needs are on a building-to-building basis. And the general education EAs, we are working to measure those as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you very much.
I just want to
Please.
commend the district and the leadership on increasing the staff retention. I think the biggest assets which we have is the students and the staff, and the Better Place to Work Task Force is leading, giving us the good results. So kudos to you guys for doing the good job, because staff retention is very, very important, because turnover does affect the district, the students, and everybody else as such. So thank you for doing a great job on that.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item D, 2026 September 1st start date waiver. Dr. Bennett, please.
Okay, there's a situation report that was included. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review it. Relatively straightforward. Act 16 through the Department of Public Instruction and also State Statute 27.03 allow the ability for a school board to commence the school year prior to September 1st for a couple different reasons. The one pertaining to us would be significant construction. So we're currently looking at applying to DPI for a potential start date prior to September 1st, 2026, to allow for a longer summer. You've heard much about the long summer of 2027. That offers us then for next school year to end earlier than our typical dates in June, right? We'd hope to be able to wrap up around Memorial Day. We'll figure out those exact dates once we hear from DPI if the board decides to go forward with this tonight and then DPI approves direction to go that way. It's pretty typical for DPI to approve these once they come through a board resolution.
Sorry. Okay, so the goal of this would be so that we could end and have a long summer of 27.
Correct.
So basically affecting 2 school years. Would the goal be to release and approve a 2-year academic calendar? Reason I ask, people are gonna kind of freak out a little bit when they see the calendar so significantly shifted, and I think if it's framed within a 2-year framework, it might make a bit more sense.
Yeah, the goal is to bring 2 calendar years to the board in November for first read and then second read in December. And we won't be looking for an early start, at least at this time that we can project, for 27, 28. It'd be a typical start, which actually Labor Day is a little bit later that year, so it may not be right on September 1st, but more typical to what our families would see.
Great.
And what are we expecting? 2 weeks? 1 week? How much are you changing it?
Well, we'll be able to bring that in November once we know that we have approval of it, but hopefully to start the week prior, like the last week in August potentially, and seeing if we can wrap up before June 1. But we'll have to calculate those actual minutes once we know what we can look at as a start date.
So like a week, is what you're saying.
Our
Either
goal is to try to get to close to 3 months in the summer of '27 for CD Smith and the teams to be able to work on the site.
What's a typical summer?
Typical is,
Second
Two and
week
a
of
half?
June.
yeah, about 2.5 months.
So,
We're
yeah,
looking
I mean,
to try to
usually
find
it's
2 to
about-
3 weeks.
So 2-3 weeks is what you're trying to, okay. Just didn't have any idea what we're thinking. Something radical? I don't know.
You still have to meet minutes by the DPI, so nothing's gonna be that radical. It's really just shifting it up a week or a little more if you can.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the start date for 2026.
I think we have to have all this language.
Because they have to read it. It's at the
As
bottom.
proposed. We have to
I,
read it.
I move to approve the school board resolution 0001, which is a resolution authorizing Franklin Public School District Administration to make an application to the DPI, which is Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, to begin the 2026-2027 school year before September 1st, 2026.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Dr. Khan, seconded by Mrs. Larson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Budget approval and tax levy, action item. Mr. Cromie, please.
Perfect. Couple of adjustments made and appreciate you giving Annalee and I the trust to chaperonage or be a chaperonage of our budget. So couple of adjustments made in revenues based on the October 15th aid certification. So you'll see adjustment in state aid of $750,000 less. We were one of about 300 school districts that saw less funding coming out in October as compared to June. Property tax then increases. It doesn't increase at a straight dollar for dollar because it's based on actual student count, but pretty close. We have rescinded property taxes. The reason that's down 6,847 is if those come from municipalities in enough time to the state, that gets added to the revenue limit. So the 6,847 is actually part of the revenue limit. So it was a reduction of us recording it versus the state recording it. Still coming in. Source 691 exempt computers. Personal property went up $1 in change from our estimate. Our per pupil categorical aid was down $31,164. That's just again in relation to third Friday count. And we held that again as long as we possibly could because you can update your third Friday count a couple of times even after it's submitted. So we're holding that as long as we possibly can until a time when we actually have to approve. We adjusted our Fund 46 transfer in order to make sure our budget balanced. So a couple of years ago, we started this process of moving CIP, technology, and teaching and learning to CIP for doing our projects, technology for doing a couple of things. One, buying infrastructure items needed now, but also producing a savings account for infrastructure projects in the future. And then teaching and learning is thinking about the next time we have to do a large-scale language arts or large-scale math, so providing them some sort of savings account in Fund 46. So altogether, though, we had a reduction of $133,000, again, to balance the budget. So some portions of those, again, are savings accounts for future things. So, yep, it's going to put some pressure on in future years, but we need to make this year work as well. A couple of expenses changed. Fund 10, our voucher expenses went up $44,000. It's important to note that that's a straight pass-through revenue, right? We talked about this state laundering dollars through public taxpayers, property taxpayers, so that's a revenue in, expense out, same thing. And that department budget's reduction matches exactly with Fund 46 because those are coming out of teaching and learning and technology to help make those things work. Our general levy, all set in total here. For Fund 10, $26,290,258. State voucher, $1.6 million. Referendum, about $12.4. And community ed and rec is about $1.3 for a total school levy of $41,608,205 and a mill rate of $7.83. Up about 10 cents or so from our October 8th meeting. but still well below where we were last year. And our overall property levy is down $600-ish thousand as well from the prior year.
Thank you. All right, Linda, please.
Yes, but I appreciate the reduction in the overall tax bill, but I want to make sure we all understand that this is almost a 10% increase in the general fund levy. And looking ahead to next year, you won't have the offset. So what are you expecting we would see possibly
For
next
the
year?
26-27 levy? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Wonderful. I just calculated that today. I assumed that question was coming.
I was wondering why it didn't come, the answer didn't come with the original question.
Because I didn't calculate it till today. It's calculating 26-27 is not quite on the radar yet, but we just got done finishing 25-20. Well, we actually technically haven't even approved 25-26 yet. So next year's estimated tax levy would be $42,990,954, an increase of about $736,000. Again, next year we'll see an additional $325 per pupil with no state aid coming to offset that. So the biennium budget provided zero additional state aid for general revenue limit purposes. So the $325 per student is completely going to the taxpayers. That is in direct relation to Governor Evers' line item vetoing the 23-25 budget to put the $325 per student to the year 24-25. So the legislature, who's clearly opposite in ideology versus the governor, again, direct relation to that line item veto.
What percent increase is that?
I don't have a percent for you, but
What was the number? I can calculate myself.
$42,990,954.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have further questions, or Linda, did you have further questions?
Yes, I also want to ask about, the state of federal funds. I mean, that's a hot topic. And what could happen, what do you see happening with that? I know.
I see the federal government at some point approving a budget, and those items stay relatively the same. They've already reduced federal education quite a bit in terms of Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. I don't see IDEA going down. I think that would be a political nightmare for many of them to defund special education. At the very least, if they were to defund that, they'd be providing states dollars. This is my opinion, states dollars to offset that cost. Because it would be a political nightmare, I think. So I don't necessarily see the federal government shutting down and it going away entirely. I think probably our biggest hit, truthfully, is going to be to food service. Free and reduced students, I think, probably has the biggest impact, because right now that is totally dead in terms of funding. So while we are required, because we participate, to provide free and reduced lunch, funding is not coming in any form whatsoever. So while we're calculating it and we submit, those go sit in a pile on someone's desk, and nothing is being done with them at this point. So federal government will have to come back and start running again for us to have anything related to food service, but I could see that being the biggest hit, truthfully, long-term.
What options are we looking at to address that?
The option is either fund it out of Fund 10 or dramatically increase lunch prices.
Thank you.
I move to approve the budget.
Oh, sorry, Mary has a
Oh, sorry, Mary.
question.
Oh, so in reading the SWSA report, it also said like Medicaid, if that gets cut and the, the SNAP, that the state is gonna take away from education, is that kind of what you're talking about?
Well, Medicaid's a much smaller portion for us, 65,000. I mean, obviously it's $65,000, but it's not backbreaking. Food service is $750,000. That would be massive out of our food service budget. So that is a much larger thing to worry about. Not that we wouldn't worry about Medicaid, but again, smaller portion of it.
I move to approve the budget and tax levy as presented.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Mrs. Yank. Does anybody have further comment or discussion? All right, we do need to have a voice vote.
Okay. Mr. Sprague?
Aye.
Mrs. Witkowski?
Aye.
Mrs. Yank?
Aye.
Mrs. Sapersky?
Aye.
Dr. Khan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mrs. Larson?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. All right, and we will move on to,
Tax levy also.
oh, thank you.
I think there are two.
I move to certify the 2025-26 fiscal year school tax levy to the city of Franklin in the amount of $41,608,205.
Second.
All right, motion was made by Mrs. Larson, seconded by Mrs. Sapersky. We also need a voice vote.
Sure. Mrs. Larson?
Aye.
I vote yes. Dr. Khan?
Aye.
Mrs. Sapersky?
Aye.
Mrs. Yank?
Aye.
Mrs. Witkowski?
Aye.
Mr. Sprague?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, the treasurer's report is available in Board Docs Library. Does anybody?
I have two questions on it.
Please.
So if you open up the expenditure report, of course, we have to go all the way to the library. I did notice that, I think we have to see the report to really ask the question. But it does show for benefits that we are spending at a similar level than we were at last year. However, we were told that we overspent health insurance by $1 million last year. So I don't quite see what happened there, and I would ask that we get some explanation of what happened with the health insurance last year, particularly when we had put together a budget that depended on savings from a new program. You know, what happened with that? And will we ever hear what happened last year? I think we need to know that. And that could be a future agenda item, or I don't know if you want to address it now.
We're gonna talk about the budget component of it right now in the expenditures. Should pop up there. So what you are referencing, let's get that out of the way. I do not want any AI. How about AI follows along and says we do not want it? So we're gonna talk about this line right here.
Benefits?
Yep.
Right.
I'm sure that's what you're referencing,
Yes,
right?
right.
So benefits are calculated, this is not what's actually being paid to UMR or to any of our direct contracts. We pull salaries and benefits two times a month, so part of our payroll. So our expenditures year-to-date actually are being expensed into our health savings account. So that references the, my portion of premiums, the district's portion of premiums, and every other employee who takes health insurance. So that's really a collection of premiums, and it really goes to timing of year. So it should follow every year at about the same time. We true up expenses out of a liability account. So when we pay UMR, or we pay a direct contract to the MOSH, or we pay a direct contract to ATI, that comes out of a liability account. So all premiums are funneled there to that liability account. So they're expensed as a premium. They're paid for out of a liability account. So that's where it's gonna get, like, from a standpoint of seeing what we're actually spending on health, it won't come out of an expense account until year end if we're plus or minus. Then we would true that up at the end of the year. But right now, what that is tracking is actually what we're collecting in terms of premiums versus what we're budgeting in terms of premiums. But that, again, that's total benefits. So that's WRS, that's FICA, that's health, that's dental, life, LTD.
Is it too early in the year? From
I would
July
love
1st
to tell you that we have data, and I'm on Brown and Brown, but we do not have data for July, August, and September yet. And so it's really very irritating because I don't have it. Laura's on the emails that are going to Brown and Brown, like, where is the data so that we can see it? But I don't have anything to share with you in terms of where we're spending other than our direct contracts, so.
Well, but can you explain what happened last year then? I mean, we overspent.
Yes, we spent way more than we collected in premiums.
Was it because we didn't get the savings that we expected, or is it because of claims?
Claims. We had significant amount of high need claims, way more than we typically have. So we typically have hitting our stop loss anywhere from 5 to 7. Last year, we were looking at 15 to 16 that hit our stop loss. So then in terms of, not only are we paying then again more for those people until we get to that stop loss insurance then goes up considerably more for the upcoming year. So again, we fought that battle already. That's part of our July 1st renewal, but that comes back ugly just because they're looking at our population and saying this is what happened. But it's claims. We had a lot of high need claims, but we were just high in general. Our per individual spend was high as well. Our average per individual spend.
And we had that new app. What was the impact of the app?
Laura sat in on the last Garner meeting. Do you have that information from the last Garner meeting? Because we have a year end, right? We had a July or a June 30th.
Otherwise, I'm happy to send it on. I would just have to, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head.
You can share that later, that's fine.
When we talked about some of the Garner, when we did the health insurance presentation last spring, when we also talked about that we had a number of high claim reports, right, in our stop loss. We talked about all that. There was a lot of clarity at that point. So I would say, like, if we're board's requesting another additional healthcare presentation, then we'll look at that, look for that direction from the board in entirety. Otherwise, that was brought forward last spring extensively through multiple meetings. And as Andy stated, we're waiting at Brown & Brown for the data for this year at this point, these first few months.
I know we beat projections from Garner, but again, the numbers.
I do, yes, I recognize that we heard about the high claims, but we never heard anything on the savings. That's what I wanted to hear. What kind of savings?
So really,
That new initiative, and we didn't hear anything back.
Well, we have to be cautious with using
We
the
did hear
word
back on
savings.
Garner.
We did.
It's really cost avoidance. So it's not necessarily saving, like, we're not getting a coupon and we get 35 cents off the box of rice or whatever you're buying at the grocery store. It's just avoiding spending more because we used this, or we direct contract and people went right to ATI, or they followed the Garner path and followed the Garner doctor. And so, again, it's cost avoidance, not saving, so I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. We spend here, we avoided spending this additional component.
That was explained. That was explained.
I understand you're
I don't know
saying
that that's
there is a year-end
An
report.
agenda item right now, so.
I understand there is a report that you can share that shows what happened with that, and that's what I want to see. Is that
With
okay?
Garner, correct, yes.
Yeah, can I see that? That's what I want to ask.
Yeah,
Okay.
as I said, Laura has that.
All right, thank you. And my other question on the treasury report is that we do have the list of all the expenses that came through. Will we see the cost of the litigation coming through on that report?
When that check is cut, yes.
And who's our vendor? Or who's our?
Who is the
Von-
attorney for that?
Von
Von
Briesen.
Briesen.
One reason, okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, future agenda items. Robinwood Elementary School presentation, Franklin Forward update. 26-27 and 27-28 school calendar, new courses, action item, board policies, students, 5,000s, Pleasant View school presentation, coherence plan, mid-year report and assessment report, board clerk's report, open enrollment seats, financial audit report, and board review of meeting feedback and action steps. And I am looking for a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851C, district administrator goal setting action item.
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It was
It was Mary.
Yeah,
Mary?
sorry. Yeah, I couldn't
Mrs.
type it out,
Yank,
sorry.
motion, Mrs. Sapersky seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Sprague?
Aye.
Mrs. Wachowski?
Aye.
Mrs. Yank?
Aye.
Mrs. Sapersky?
Aye.
Dr. Khan?
Aye.
Mrs. Larson?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Thank you, and we are in closed session.
Her goals, I believe we do.
Yes.
Yes, we have to approve our goals.
All right, I move to approve the goals as presented with the addition discussed in closed session.
I second that.
All right, motion was made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Dr. Khan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Ann, seconded by Angie, I think.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:12.